What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Choir 1, which is that new special ammo auto rifle that we got last week within Destiny 2. This thing is a very interesting and niche weapon in my opinion. A lot of people have been saying this thing absolutely changes the meta. It's OP, it's absolutely crazy, and my personal opinion, I would have to disagree with that. I'm thinking this thing is a very mid-tier weapon. Definitely has its spot, has some cool, interesting things, especially since we have it as an auto rifle with overload capabilities because of the artifact. But let's go over its traits, as well as it's a craftable weapon. So we're going to go over where it comes from in the Encore mission that we got, as well as some of those secret chests to upgrade this as we continue through that mission. So first off, right here we have our command frame, which is our intrinsic exotic trait. It fires that extended range high caliber projectiles at a reduced rate of fire. It also deals additional precision damage when ADSing, so this allows us to hit targets at a pretty good distance in my opinion, especially if you build it out a certain way. You can have this almost up to 100 range, but I like it with a little extra stability because as it is that special ammo, it does shoot a little slower. I think it does have a little bounce to it, especially if you're playing and shooting at distances. Some of those overloads, etc., not even the overloads I should say, but just in general at a farther distance trying to hit some of the things does definitely work, but it has a bounce on it, so that's why I went with a little extra stability as well. Now the other exotic trait that we have for this is the Fanatical Lance. So rapid final blows cause targets to explode into a pool of radiolarian fluid, just like our seasonal weapons. Hip firing launches multiple projectiles at once in a slower moving spread pattern. The projectiles detonate on impact as well. Now this is very interesting, and in my opinion how I use it the most. Yes, every so often I'll use it to shoot at a farther distance to take down a shield or something like that with that extra little bit of damage that we get from precision damage, but most of the time I'm running up close and personal with this weapon using that hip fire because it almost acts like a shotgun in my personal opinion, especially when you have volatile rounds on this thing, which we can get with one of our exotic perks, which you can see in a second here, or if you're using something like a Gyrfalcon's Hunter, anything like that. Prismatic, we can get it with grenade defeat, so lots of ways to get that, but the extra explosion that we get on the hip fire, plus that slow moving spread, it has 25 in the magazine, so when you ADS, it'll shoot 1 at a time. When you use this Fanatical Lance and hip fire, it shoots 5 at a time, which does a crazy amount of damage up close. So this is what I've been using, but even at a far distance, it is just a slow moving projectile. You will have to be careful because we know how things like to teleport in Destiny, so you can use it at a far distance on a boss that is stable, or stationary I should say, but easier to get up close and personal and use it like a shotgun in my personal opinion. Now before we get into some of the other perks that we can throw on this thing with the Choir of 1, we have Subsistence Retrofit unlocked, as well as Destabilizing. Next week we will get Onslaught, which I think this will be my second choice actually with Onslaught. Comes from some of those secret chests that we get actually inside of the Encore mission. You have to go through Encore once in the normal version to get your Choir 1 via the seasonal quest, and then head to Banshee so you can unlock a quest to get these retrofits right here, as well as actually increasing our command frame. We get that from the expert version of Encore as well, but these subsistence frames, etc., inside of the Destabilizing as well will come from secret chest inside of the mission. There's going to be one more version where we're going to have to get those extra 2 chests to find that Onslaught right there and go up to command frame 3, but as you can see in the gameplay, just a little thing, there's guides everywhere on it for completing the mission and where these chests are and how to do them. They'll just be little puzzles, etc., inside of that mission that you unlock it, you'll get a chest, and then you will get these to drop. Now my personal opinion with these 3 that we have right here, I like Subsistence so far the best. I do think Destabilizing has its potential again, but this would be more of an ad clear side if you have that job, using it for that aspect. I like Subsistence, especially when I'm using it in that hip fire mode when it's using 5 at once. You get a defeat, it's going to refill that 5 right away. So ammo economy, you do got to be a little bit careful. Make sure you got your special ammo finders on, but even in that normal mode, subsistence feels really good. Feels like you can shoot it forever, so it's still a very good ad clear side of things, so you don't really need the volatile rounds in my opinion because of destabilizing. You can get those a lot of different ways because of our subclass, depending on what you're using, exotic class items, etc. And then the last one that we're going to get next week is that onslaught, so final blows increase its rate of fire, which I do think that this might help, at least in my opinion, with how I play with it, especially at some of those farther distances. When you're ADSing or not ADSing, you might be able to crank out some more damage with it as well because of onslaught, but you will have to reload very fast, and you will go through ammo like crazy with onslaught in my personal opinion, so you got to be a little bit careful about that. But I think I would choose subsistence as my #1 choice, onslaught as #2, and then destabilizing as my #3, just because we have so many different ways to make volatility with our subclass, grenades, everything like that. Now when we move on to how I have this built out, PvP we're not even going to cover with this thing because it was absolutely dookie cheeks inside of PvP. I'll throw up some gameplay just so you can see, because we did get a couple good little moments with it, but it was pretty dog water. It was very hard to use it as an auto rifle, if you will. You could almost tap the trigger and use it as a scout rifle at far away, but with the special ammo economy, I was running around with it, like I said, in PvE as a shotgun. So I would use something like a hand cannon, etc., get close to people and then pull this out and hit fire it, and you would hit people with 5 of those bullets up close and they would just disappear off the map. Hit them for like 217 or something like that. So I think it has its place if you like to use it, but it's a waste of an exotic slot, and I would much rather use a shotgun instead of this. And that's basically how I use it, or how I think it should be used in the PvP realm, but that's just my personal opinion. So everything we cover inside of these perks for the exotic weapon will be for the PvE realm, I think. So corkscrew rifling right here is my first choice. Like I said, it gives us handling, range, and stability on this bad boy. Built it out for all 3 of those, kind of the jack of all trades perk. Gives us 84 in that range, 56 in that stability, as well as 37 in handling. Don't need handling nearly as much, used it more for that range and stability. Now for magazine, got a couple options I guess, but I think that this would probably be my favorite. Flared magwell gives us that reload as well as stability increase, so it gives us that 84 in range with having 42 in reload, which makes it pretty quick on that reload, especially using it up close and personal. Using it as a shotgun, like to have a little faster reload, so that's why I personally went with flared magwell. If you really want to juice out the range on this thing, go with accurized rounds. Gives us 94 in the range category with 51 in stability, but it does go down all the way to 27 in the reload, all the way from 47, so that's why I like flared magwell over accurized in the magazine. Now last but not least, right here we're going to go over our stocks, since we already went over our trait that we can craft with subsistence, destabilizing, and onslaught, as well as fanatical lance right there. So composite stock, in the next week we'll be able to get these other stocks unlocked, so it's totally up to you on which one of these you use. My personal opinion, nothing really changes too crazily depending on what you're using. Short action stock might be a little bit better for PvP if you do use it for that, because of that little extra handling, but I really don't think that +5 in stability with giving us a decrease in handling at all really makes sense to me, so that's why I'm going to stick with composite on this build. Like I said, PvE, this thing definitely feels pretty good. I don't think it's as good as people are saying as a meta changing weapon or anything too bonkers like that. I do think it's really fun, especially in that lower tier content. It is just wiping out enemies willy-nilly like, but you do got to watch out on your ammo economy, so make sure you got those special ammo finders. Like I said, have those bad boys on. But when you're going into PvP, I would definitely leave this thing in the vault because it is absolute trash in my opinion. Not enough ammo, even if you're picking up ammo. These shots, you got to use it like a scout rifle instead of an auto rifle, because you just burn through ammo. The bounce, since it's a special ammo auto rifle, is a little much for PvP unless you're using it like a shotgun like I was. But PvE, this thing absolutely slaps up close and personal, wiping out enemies with that explosion hit fire, using it on a Jar Falcon's Hunter, getting those destabilizing going after all of it with subsistence, never have to reload basically as well, going through that expert encore as well with it with ease. Super nice, especially since we got the overload auto rifle as well with this. But let's see how it feels after everything's complete and it's masterworked with our next intrinsic in command frame at tier 4 to finish that off, as well as onslaught, because onslaught might be a sleeper for this instead of subsistence, but I would definitely throw destabilizing at the last. So in my opinion, overall, I would throw this thing probably at like a 4.1, 4.0 for the PvE realm, throwing it at like a 2 for the PvP realm. Nothing crazy about it there, but PvE definitely slaps, definitely feels good, and is a unique weapon. So looking forward to seeing if it finds a spot in the meta, then a little bit of fun and just kind of trickery, if you will, because everyone's saying that it's the meta, but I promise it's going to be another one of those weapons, or at least in my opinion, unless something drastic changes, that you just kind of throw in the vault and forget that we have it, kind of like Ariana's Vow, the special ammo hand cannon. So again, thanks for staying with me. I know Destiny's been slow. We're going to branch out, I promise, in the future here, but I appreciate you always for staying around. Means a lot to me, means a lot to the channel. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Hit that bell as well so you don't miss out on any of the videos, guides that we put out here. So again, appreciate all you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.